Hello everyone, I'm Richard. Today I will explain the deployment of ADCampus Underlay automation. At present, the ADCampus solution is very common, so how to deploy it at the beginning, and what should be paid attention to in the deployment process. Through this video, let's learn about it. The automation deployment configuration is generally divided into three steps. The first step is to configure the DHCP server and complete the DHCP plugin installation. The second step is to complete the configuration of automation-related parameters on the director. The third step is after the device is started with empty configuration, the director will automatically complete the management of the device. So first, the installation of DHCP server. So let's go to the detail about it. For the installation of the DHCP server, we need to install the DHCP server of Windows Server 2012 R2 version, and the deployments of DHCP server can be deployed in the normal way, so I don't go into too much detail here. After installing the DHCP server, you need to install the DHCP plugin. First, copy the DHCP plug windows.zip file in the tools folder of the MC installation package to the C drive of the DHCP server. And you have to note that this file cannot be installed directly on the desktop. Otherwise, the problems will occur. Then depress and then execute the install.bat file to complete the installation. After the installation of the DHCP plugin is completed, the DHCP server needs to be managed on the director. After the management is successful, the deployment of the DHCP address pool can be completed on the director. Note that the operating system of the server should be 2012 R2 version. In addition, you need to install two update patches for Windows Server 2012 R2, and the specific links are shown in the figure. After the DHCP server is installed and deployed, we can proceed to the second major step of automation online of device. The automation online mainly includes the four steps. So let's go to the detail. First, the device role planning. If the on-site devices all use the default role, you can skip this step. If some devices on the site are not in the default role, you need to modify the role first. There are two ways to modify the device role. The first method is to input the command vcfg fabric role name directly on the device. After this command is configured, restart the device to take effect. You do not need to save the configuration when restarting. The second method is to directly specify the device role on the director based on the device serial number. First, obtain the serial number code on the device through the command. Then specify the role in campus planning, assets information, SN role banding, and then click the Add. Enter the serial number code, select the corresponding role, and click the OK. Second, automation parameter configuration. You should complete the parameter configuration in the planning parameters under the campus planning. The syslog host address and the TFTP server address generally keep director's VLAN1 network card address. The master RR device do not need to be selected for the moment. After master RR device obtains the VLAN1 address, you can select the master RR. The address of the NTP server is optional. Third, address planning. Click the campus planning initial configuration, network management address range. Then click Add, so you can add the management address here. You need to assign IP address pools to VLAN1 and VLAN 4094 respectively. The network segments of the two address pools need to be configured to correspond to the network segments of network card of the VLAN 1 and the VLAN 4094 of the DHCP server. Here, according to the role, to determine whether it is the network management address range of VLAN 1 or VLAN 4094. After configuring these two address pools on the director, you can see that the superscopes of VLAN 1 and VLAN 4094 are generated on the DHCP server, and the address pool configuration is successfully. Then coming to the initialized template configuration, we can add the templates of span leaf access here. To configure the span role templates, you need to configure the role name, underlay VLAN range, username, password, master span mark, underlay IP range, and other information. Among them, the underlay VLAN range is composed of bridge mark with VLAN range. The bridge mark of the device can be viewed by logging to the device, and after filling in the information, click OK. Complete the templates for the span device. The leaf templates only need to select the template role as leaf, and enter the username and password, which is used by director to log into the device. Similarly, the axis templates only need to select the template role as axis and enter the username password, which is used by director to log in to the device. Then configure the automation parameters of the device. First, configure the parameter name, and then configure the user password parameters for SAMP, letsconf, telnet, and SSH. Click OK to configure each parameter. Finally, an automation strategy needs to be added to associate the automation templates with the automation parameters. In the automation strategy, we need to complete operations such as the strategy name, execution conditions, and automation configuration. If there is a device upgrade requirement on site, you can select the version and patch to be upgraded in the software name and software patch. Next, plan the number of devices that need to be automated. Click Campus Planning, Monitor Topology, and click the plus at the bottom on Span, Leaf, and Axis to configure the number of devices for each row according to the site conditions. After the configuration is complete, click on the Access Information to see the management status of the 3 row devices. After completing the above configuration, you have reached the third step of automation online. You have to ensure that all physical devices can communicate with the director on the second layer, and then you can restart the device with the empty configuration. After device restarts, it first obtains the IP address of VLAN 1 and obtains the corresponding automation template. First, the device will be managed with the VLAN 1 address. After finish the management with the IP address of VLAN 1, you need to manually configure the ports of span that connect to the server to AC port, so as to configure the mapping configuration from VLAN 4094 to VXLAN 4094, so that span can obtain the IP address of VXLAN 4094. After span obtains the VXLAN 4094 address, the IP managed by the director is automatically switched from VLAN 1 to the VXLAN 4094, and then we can click Campus Planning parameters to select the master R device. After the master R device is designated, the device will send the EVPN configuration to leaf devices, and then the EVPN labels will be established successful. After the EVPN neighbor is established, the tunnel of VXLAN 4094 between span and leaves is also successfully established. Then the leaf device can obtain the IP address of VXLAN 4094 through the tunnel. The leaf downlink port discovers the access device through the LLDP protocol and completes the mapping configuration from VLAN 4094 to VXLAN 4094. Access can obtain the address of VLAN 4094. At this point, spawn, leave, and exit devices have completed the automation online process. Let us look at some precautions when automation online. First, if a long default device role is used, after commanding to modify the device role, it is not necessary to save the configuration. Just restart directly to take effect. Second, the device lists an empty configuration to start in order to be automated. Third, for the AC ports interconnected with director and the DHCP server, the mapping that VLAN 4094 to VXLAN 4094 needs to be manually configured. Next, after the automation of master span is completed, the RR device needs to be specified manually on the director, and then the relevant VPN configuration will be issued to complete the automation of other devices. Okay, that's all. Thank you for listening.